everyone, it's Moose, and thank you so much for joining me back here. It's actually been a while since I sat down in front of my camera and recorded anything. I've been vlogging for a couple of different things, but in terms of a real video, I think the last time was a couple weeks ago. So this feels a little weird right now. That's besides the point. Today we're going to do my February wrap-up for 2022. I'm actually kind of proud of myself. I did 5 books in February. 2 of them were children's books, but one of them was fairly long and the other 3 books were part of a series, so it's all besides the point. Let's just jump into it. This is not going to be the order that I read these in because I just want to talk about this series as a whole, and I did not read them, you know, back to back to back. In February, I read the entirety of the From Blood and Ash series so far. We have From Blood and Ash, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, and A Crown of Gilded Bones. The next book, the new book, the 4th book, comes out this month. It is currently March. It comes out March 15th, I think is the date. It is March 5th at the point that I am recording this. So just 10 days. We will get our, I hope it's the conclusion. I hope it's the conclusion. But I did read these in preparation for the new book coming out. I did a reading vlog on it that should be up before this video goes up. So if you were interested in that, go check it out. Very full of spoilers, so if you have not read these, maybe don't go check it out. But if you've read these and you want to hear my thoughts more in depth, go check it out. I do have, you know, my paperback copies for my bookshelf because I enjoy the series and I want it for my bookshelf, but I did read most of this as an ebook copy. I bought the first one as an ebook. This one is always available on Libby for me as an ebook, so I haven't bought the ebook copy of the second one yet. And then I did buy the ebook copy of the 3rd one when it first came out. Again, just like the first time I read through these, I flew through these. Obviously, I mean, these are kind of chunky, right? I mean, they're like no less than 500 pages. This one, the last one is 650 some, 640 some, 6 something. Yeah, they're all over 600 pages, and I read them, all 3 of them, in the month of February. So that's pretty good for me. That's a lot of pages read just with this one series. In case you don't know for some reason what From Blood and Ash is about, I'll give a quick synopsis maybe of the first one because I don't want to spoil the series. So in this world, in this series, our main character Penelope, also known as Poppy by her friends, that's her nickname, is what the Ascended call the Maiden. So she's basically this idolized figure that all of their world is supposed to look up to, and she's supposed to be perfect and pure and blah 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 blah, all that kind of stuff. So she's very sheltered and kind of protected, and the Dark One, who is Prince Castile, is trying to pretty much take her to use her as ransom to get his brother back. I feel like that's a good enough summary for this. A lot of romance, very smutty. I'm over this one. A lot of the times I just kind of skip through those parts, but just beware, kind of smutty, fantasy element for sure. There's magic systems. What are they called? The Atlanteans are kind of like vampire type figures. There's woven, I don't know. I don't want to say Twilight vibes, but a little bit of Twilight vibes, just a little bit. I feel like this is going to be a super quick video because the next 2 books I have to talk about, the last 2 books I have to talk about, I read with my son. So every day before nap time and before bedtime, we read a story, a book of some kind. And then also throughout the day, he just likes to read. He'll bring me books to read to him. Awesome. I'm not going to tell my son no, right? But he did get this book for Christmas. It's 5-minute stories. It's a bunch of different fables and fairy tales. I was excited to read this one because I like fables and fairy tales. He got this one for Christmas, like I said. So we spent the past couple of months reading through all the stories. We read 1 or 2 before bedtime every night. You know, 1 or 2 before nap time every day. And we finally made it through it. I said at the beginning of this book that I often don't count the books that I read with my son because they're children's books. They're like 5 pages long. We love the Sarah Boynton books. If you have kids, you might know what those are. Snuggle Puppy is our fave. So I don't often count those in my reading wrap-ups here on my channel, but this one was kind of hefty. I want to say it was like 300, 400 pages. So I'm including it in this because I did read those to him every single day. And quite frankly, I enjoyed them. There were a lot of fables slash fairy tales, whatever you want to call them, that I knew the general gist of the story, but the specifics of it were different from what I grew up knowing, or I knew the name of the story and didn't actually know what happened in the story itself, you know, that kind of thing. The one that comes to mind is the goose who lays the golden eggs. I've always heard of that story, you know, but I didn't know the actual story itself until I read this. Little Red Riding Hood was kind of different in this one. I kind of want to say Cinderella was different in this one. The Princess and the Pea, where she like lays on the bed and the pea is in the bed, that kind of stuff. I mean, all of those were in this book. Enjoyable. I liked it. I read it with my son. Here we go. The last book from my February wrap-up was also read with my son, but it was also a reread for me. It was Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I have read this one before, but I listened to it on audiobook a couple years ago, I want to say. I don't think Sam was born yet. I know I was married to Ethan, but I don't think Sam was born yet, so it had to have been at least 2 years ago. It's been a couple years since I listened to this, and I was kind of distracted. I remember we were on a road trip and I was driving and Ethan was napping in the passenger seat. So I remember when I read this, but I didn't really remember the specifics of the story itself. So I was happy to read this with my son. He got like a collection of classics for Christmas, I think maybe. This was one of them. And so I was like, you know what? I had just read Heartless, which was in my January wrap-up. I had just read that book. So I was kind of in like a Alice in Wonderland mood anyways. So I read this one. If I'm being completely honest, weird. It was kind of weird. I don't know that it was for me. I don't know. There's no nostalgia factor for me. I didn't grow up with this story the way a lot of people did. Yeah. Not my favorite. I'll be honest. I probably will not read it again. Yeah. Anyways. The only reason I would read it is if, like, I was doing some kind of analytical study on it or something. But otherwise, just for pleasure, weird in a way that's not for me, I think. So yeah, there we go. I told you this would be a short video. A lot of pages read in February, and 5 books is pretty good for me. But again, I don't know. I still feel like I didn't read as much in February as I felt like I did. I guess just because From Blood and Ash is such a long series. I'm already off to a good start in March. Today is March 5th and I have already read 3 books. I have a lot more free time in my afternoons right now this month, so I think I'll get a lot of reading done, but we'll talk about that in March. Anyways, that was my February wrap up. I'm pretty happy with myself. Like I said before, I'm pretty happy. Let me know down below how your reading went in February. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. You guys are awesome. I am so thankful for you, and we will meet back here next time, guys. See ya!